Well, what we found out is that these deaths in Port Said have really reignited the demands of many Egyptians for the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces, which took over from Hosni Mubarak a year ago, to hand over power immediately to a civilian government. It's interesting that this began as basically an incident of football violence, but the feeling of many of the people in Cairo, at least, is that the military has failed at the minimum to provide security, law and order to Egyptians who were at that football game. But in a broader sense, many of them accuse the military of actually doing nothing at all to prevent that violence. So this has reignited. It calls for a swift transfer of power to civilians. Now, at the moment, some of the harder core supporters of the football team that was involved in the Port Said violence are trying to get to the Ministry of the Interior, which, of course, they believe is directly responsible for the deaths in Port Said. As a result, we've seen at least 600 people wounded. These clashes ongoing with the security forces firing rubber bullets, birdshot, we're told, in addition to tear gas. Pauline?
Ben, the numbers that you just gave us are simply staggering. Has the military government made any sort of concessions or made any statements to alleviate the tensions that we're seeing in the public?
Well, we did hear the Prime Minister, Ganzouri, today in Parliament saying that the governor of Port Said province had resigned. We also know that the head of security for Port Said has been arrested and charged with dereliction of duty, in addition to his deputy and the head of the investigation wing of the police there as well. They are under a lot of pressure. We saw that today in Parliament, where one deputy after another blamed the Interior Minister, blamed the police, and blamed the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces as well for failing to maintain law and order in Egypt. And this, in a sense, is unprecedented. I remember covering the Parliament in the days of Hosni Mubarak, where half the deputies were snoozing at their desks, that people simply didn't pay any attention to Parliament. But the proceedings of Parliament today were broadcast live on Egyptian TV, and many Egyptians were glued to their television sets and their radios following what for them was the first real example or proof that the Parliament that they used to laugh at now needs to be taken seriously. Pauline?